Hey YouTube, I've seen some ex-Jehovah's Witness videos here that have been touching. Many voices, some emotional, detailing how they've been cut away from friends and family and suddenly forced to find their way in the world alone, away from those they thought loved them. My own story is not dissimilar, and I currently remain anonymous on YouTube because I cling to a probably unrealistic hope that my parents might just acknowledge and get to know their own non-Jehovah's Witness grandchildren. Maybe that's the maze I run. I've given up hope of having a good relationship with my parents myself, but what hurts is my children being ignored, whilst they make time for the grandchildren that door knock but otherwise lead normal lives. In fact, I think their shunning of innocent children for the heinous crime of their father having differing religious views is a form of evil. But I know my elder family are not evil people. In fact, I know them to be quite the opposite. So how did the governing body destroy my family? How did they bend good people to do evil things? Academics have had decades to study and determine how Hitler turned the good Christian people of Germany into an evil, destructive force, and they've identified 7 steps that prompt the slide of a good person into the dark side. Professor Zimbardo of the infamous Stanford Prison Social Experiment has identified the points as follows. 1. Mindlessly taking the first small step. New joiners to the organisation are encouraged to commit to the cult without fully understanding the consequences of doing so. There is no small print disclosure, so the new member may be surprised when they're first encouraged to restrict socialising with non-Jehovah's Witnesses. But because the congregation has been love-bombing that individual and making them feel special and welcome, restricting outside social contact seems like a small price for all these wonderful new friends. But it really is the spider's parlour. When the Germans first joined the Nazi Party, their initial intent was patriotic and not evil. 2. Dehumanisation of others. It's clear that Hitler dehumanised his scapegoat enemy, giving his own chosen tribe something to unite against. The cult governing body have directed their propaganda at smearing and demonising everyone outside the Kingdom Hall, but especially apostates, because we know they're bullshit and no longer bow our heads. They demonise us, dehumanise us by calling us mentally diseased, inoculated with rabies, and in their latest human apostate talk, they say we work for Satan, who I've never met, by the way. But it's not a far cry from Hitler's label of subhuman or impure. Can we expect this next from the people that claim to have the world's only pure worship? 3. De-individualisation of the self, open brackets, anonymity, or putting on the new personality. Personal aims, ambitions and goals are crushed and replaced with cult objectives. Esteem needs are met only in relation to how useful you are to the Reich. Members subject themselves to the authority of the elders and other figures to whom selfless obedience is expected and demanded. Individualistic expression is suppressed with tattoos, ear studs in men, clothes, the car you drive, the sex life, regulated in order to turn the member into a grey, faceless, joyless shadow of a human. Totalitarian leaders love uniformity in their people. But to give further support to my point, the cult even deny the sheep Jesus as mediator. The sheep simply don't deserve recognition. And studies consistently confirm that clan mentality elicits the cruelest behaviours. 4. Diffusion of personal responsibility. Members are told to wait on Jehovah and bring problems to the elders for biblical guidance. They're not allowed to exercise their own problem-solving skills, and again are encouraged to put on the new personality and be leadable and childlike in the face of the cult's, in quotes, divine authority. This discouragement in taking personal responsibility extends as far as parents facing cult punishment if they go directly to the police when protecting their children from inside sexual abuse. Again, this is paralleled in 1940s Germany, when the population faced punishment for using their own initiative in any given situation. 5. Blind obedience to authority. I really don't have to say much here, just read virtually any watchtower. But maybe I should offer one illustration. Witnesses are encouraged to follow leadership even when the sheep know it's wrong. The obedience is the goal, rather than the successful outcome. A member that fails to follow directives, even when right to do so, will be punished for being haughty and prideful, just as in Germany. People were encouraged to put nation over self. The individual doesn't matter. 6. Uncritical conformity to group norms. The witnesses offer no forum in which it is acceptable to voice criticism or personal opinion. The expression of a personal view is considered as an ungrateful attack on God himself. It's not possible to discuss concerns without facing punishments. If you have a private conversation with another cult member, they're required to turn you in to authorities for punishment or face punishment themselves, all in the name of keeping the congregation pure. Additionally, adherence to the group is enforced by the restriction and demonization of any external information critical of Reich or cult. 7. Passive tolerance of evil through inaction or indifference. When the Nazis acted against the Jews, they were able to do so because the good German population had by then heard so many terrible lies about their scapegoats, they thought the evil that was happening was a good thing, and you can't make omelette without breaking eggs. They just did not think, and were fooled into accepting black as white and white as black. And this is exactly the same attitude this cult is working hard to create in relation to apostates and the entire world. We've all heard the Armageddon speech, where the sheep are encouraged to mindlessly celebrate the violent murder of billions, with a B, billions of fellow humans. The Armageddon and Nuremberg speeches are virtually interchangeable, the main difference being that the Jehovah's Witnesses were more gleefully passive-aggressive. I've said in an earlier video this cult has environment on lockdown, and this is the detail of it. It's an environment designed to turn good people evil. This is how they break up families and encourage people to let each other die in a macabre, deadly survival of the fittest loyalty test. For an organisation that claims to represent Jehovah, it looks suspiciously like something Hitler would have been proud of. But I guess I shouldn't forget that in his best-selling book, Mein Kampf, Hitler too claimed to be doing God's work, and our Judge Rutherford expressed his admiration of Hitler in writing in July 1933. Just search Jehovah's Witness love letter to Hitler. So where does this leave us now? The emotional and psychological abuse that Jehovah's Witness organisation meets out to its members is very much clear, and we comply with it just in case they're right, just in case we keep on running that maze. But surely we need to engage our brains. But before I go, think about the Noah's flood for a moment. Noah's family must have played host to every parasite we have today, lung flukes, brain-eating worms, and all the sexually transmitted diseases. The animals must have been riddled too, or did Jehovah have another day of creation to maliciously create all the nasty bugs we have today?